Hello, everybody. My name is Priya. Today, I'm here to talk about one of the most controversial artists of the 21st century, Damien Hirst, who seems to have no problem making headlines till this day, staying relevant in the ever changing art landscape. Some art critics praise him for acquainting a young generation with conceptual art, nearly a century after Marcel Duchamp unveiled his porcelain urinal. Meanwhile, other critics deride him as an artist of gimmicks and one liners. His works are explicitly concerned with the fundamental dilemmas of human existence. His constant themes have included the fragility of life and society's reluctance to confront death. To visualize his ideas, he has arranged sharks, pigs, and sheep and other animals preserved in formaldehyde, some dissected, some severed. In Thousand Years, he displayed rotting cows while maggots and flies attacked it. He also produced canvases covered with real butterflies, revealing the beauty of death. The first time I came across his work, it felt purposely provocative and sometimes disturbing. As much as it repulsed me, it didn't fail to invite me to take a closer look and to understand the intentions behind his work. Hirst's inspiration came from the time he worked in a mortuary for several months after graduating from Goldsmith College. Here he discovered that everyday exposure to corpses dulled his sense of the horror of death, but did not lessen its mystery. While he has made multiple types of work that bring about similar ideas, today we will be focusing on the one piece of work that truly brought him to fame: the physical impossibility of death in the mind of someone living, also known as the shark, is unquestionably praised as one of the key pieces of British art from the 1990s. It is obvious from a modern viewpoint that it impacted the direction of 20th century art and expanded its limits, regardless of whether we may argue that it is terrible or excellent art, or whether it is even art. Set in the middle of an almost empty gallery, the physical impossibility of death in the mind of someone living is a sculpture of a tiger shark entombed in a rectangular steel vitrine. The vitrine is designed so that it looks like it's divided into three cubes. The steel that splits up the vitrine into these cubes is painted white. Heavy frames of Hirst's tanks has been a signature structure for him. It has been influenced by Francis Bacon's framing device in his paintings. Inside the tank, the shark is entirely frozen in what looks like clear blue water. It is positioned so that it is in the center of the tank. The shark has its mouth wide open, showing off its sharp teeth. It looks like it was about to attack someone or something just before it was frozen in time. This work is a vanitas. Vanitas is a particular genre of art where the artist applies morbid figurative objects like skulls, rotting fruit, or fading flowers. The main idea is to fabricate an acute alertness of the conciseness of life and predictability of death in the viewer's mind. The central theme of Hirst's work has always been an exploration of mortality. The dead shark is presented as a memento mori in forms ironically appropriated from the Museum of Natural History rather than of art. The, dis- the artwork itself has a visual power that is virtually unmatched by any possible description of it. One cannot really hope to understand it or even visualize it without experiencing it firsthand. To come face to face with something like that, something that is dead and something that, were it living, could end your own life, is a very thought provoking and ultimately frightening thing. You try and avoid death, but it's such a big thing that you can't. That's the frightening thing, isn't it? Damien Hirst says regarding his sculpture. Sometimes I think the titles are what makes the art memorable. This could have been called Tiger Shark, Shark Tank, or Thing I Killed, and people would nod and walk by. But call it the physical impossibility of death in the mind of someone living, and it immediately becomes very deep, and you pause and consider it way more, and realize the significance of the paranoid denial of death that permeates contemporary culture. The use of formaldehyde in this contributed effectively to the work, both functionally and visually. Formaldehyde is a colorless, flammable, strong-smelling chemical commonly used in mortuaries for preservation. Formaldehyde not only helps to preserve the shark, but also to suspend the shark in the glass tank, illuminating his idea of suspension of death and mortality, and the viewer's suspension of disbelief when we come face to face with artwork. In this instance, the slight bluish tint that the formaldehyde seems to create has an odd sense of realism, presenting the shark as if it was alive, still swimming in the water. The use of a clear glass is also significant to his work, as it gives the impression of the weak line of distinction, the fragility that lies between life and death. Viewers are made to feel empowered as the shark is defenseless against our inquisitive, interrogative gaze. It is dead and stuck, whereas viewers are freely walking around it. Its eyes are open but not conscious, highlighting the disparity between those who are living and those who are dead. The fact that a shark, a huge dangerous animal, has been brought into the premise of a museum and cut off from its life through the hands of humans proves to us that we too can bring about death and danger. The conflicting response of fear and empowerment raises the ideas of human attitude to death. If a creature as strong and powerful as that can lose its life and seems so vulnerable, trapped in glass and liquid, unable to move past the extremely fragile substances, human life is even more fragile. Hence, Hirst forces us to realize and come to terms with our own mortality. Something interesting about this work is that this is not the original shark. This sculpture now has a second shark. In 2004, after it was sold and transferred to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the original shark was decomposing to a very bad state from within. Not being able to accept the mortality of his work, Hirst commissioned a new shark as a replacement. While it raised questions to the authenticity and the originality of the work, in the context of a minimalist conceptual work, such reproduction was not an issue. Formaldehyde was trying to maintain the intactness of the shark, and perhaps even its viciousness. Yet we failed. It still dissolves, falling apart. While that wasn't the artist's intention and felt like a completely inadvertent side effect, it's interesting as it makes us further understand the impermanence of art. Art for its entire history has tried to transcend human death. In fact, one of the philosophical definitions of what a work of art is something that outlives us, that is transgenerational. Here is something that is not paint. Here is something that is not marble. Here is something that is flesh, like we are. Yet, there is a vain attempt to have it outlive us, and it doesn't. While the shark is flesh like us, is there a possibility where viewers are feeling a sense of detachment from the artwork because he's using an animal to get his idea across? It makes me wonder if a human were to be used and suspended in such a manner, would it be more proactive and confrontational and definitely more controversial? Just some food for thought. In conclusion, contemporary art often divides opinion, generally due to the perceived lack of talent required to create. But at the end of the day, I think Damien said it best. When asked that anyone could have paid a team of people to dump a shark in a tank of chemicals, he replied, "But you didn't, did you?" So it's easy to look at something that has already been created and say that you could have done it. But part of the job as an artist is to look at something in a new and innovative way and to get the viewers to do the same. And what can I say? Hirst has managed to do it pretty well. Thank you, everybody, for listening.